There has never been another you. There has never been another us. And your ancestors put you on this path to be here today, to be at this conference, to meet the people you met at this conference, to be present, to hear the things that you needed to hear.
What I've noticed in my context about implementing deeper learning is that it opens the door to untapped potential and new possibilities to be shared with the world.
If you're a teacher, how much do you believe in each student? That's all that matters.
So if we actually want to cultivate leaders to do this work, we also have to be very careful, especially when you're talking about leaders of color and Black women. How do we cultivate and give them the conditions to really thrive and flourish?
If you're just starting this work, understand that you will mess up. You will fail at something. But wouldn't you rather be failing forward than standing still?
And then I think about all the things that go unsaid in the entire world. And then I think about all the things that go unsaid in the entire world throughout the entire history of mankind. The immensity of what goes unsaid and what might have been, could have been possible if we had said them.
Adults don't change behavior because of data that you show them. What has a greater chance of working is direct experience, dialogue, and reflection.
Within this conference and outside of this conference, the work that you do as educators, as teachers, and guiding the youth in the next generation, it definitely makes an impact.
You're in the business of serving people, so you have to see them as people. What's your name? What do you like? How do you like me to call you?
Sometimes we have to recognize when things can't be improved, but they must be deconstructed.
Know the children and know the families, because you can't just see their suffering, you have to know your own suffering. This work is not, we gotta not do the work to liberate the children, we gotta work to liberate ourselves, to do the liberatory work ourselves, to know our own pain, to know our own vulnerabilities, our own shadows, our own stories.
How do we take care of our educators' souls? Because if there is no soul in the work that we're doing, there is no change in the impact that we have on young people.
We want to see our students do really well, right? Meet high expectations. But the only way to do that is to get to know your student first. You need to understand and build a relationship with them.
So how does that open the door for us? When we say rehumanizing, how does us being human place us in relation to our world? So for me, I cared more about how do we address the aspects that feel dehumanizing and how do we bring back that which gets erased through schooling.
That's okay to own your positionality, but make sure that you allow your students, make sure that you give them the voice to own their positionality. That it's okay, that it's their right, their divine right to be who they are. Meet them where they are.
How do we take a system that's been created by white middle class people in our city and the systems and the structures of white middle class like thought and make it actually where Latinx kids can find themselves in it? They have a voice, there's opportunity, but also the teachers were victims of the system as well.
You don't need to have, great straight A 4.0 students, in the room to have those types of conversations. Once again, bring in all types of kids. Bring in kids who are struggling with their grades right now. Bring in kids who it's hard for them to come to school right now.
So we are trying to remove barriers to ensure that teachers can have a really successful first experience with project-based learning.
When you're working with students of color, they spot phony a mile away. Yeah. They have the best BS radars out of anybody because that's what they're used to. They're used to people who are performative, who are disingenuous with them, who don't actually invest in them. And so I think that if we're going to change the ways in which we prepare people for these conversations, we have to ditch the one-size-fits-all approach because it doesn't work because that's not what the population that we have.
And you trust that every child who steps in front of you is a genius, and then you understand that to teach the genius, all you got to do is love the genius and treat them like a human.
Once a student sees that they are capable of excellence, that student is never quite the same. There is a new self-image, a new notion of possibility. There is an appetite for excellence.
To me, this is the power of project-based learning itself. The sharing of power, that learning is not a one-way street, that we work side by sides. We are not sages on the stage, we are guides on the side for the work.
And the great thing about this deeper learning community is that we know we can imagine something better, something with more love, more joy, more justice, more peace, more hope. We know we can do that.
We have to keep imagining a world that we're actually not going to be a part of. And you have to visualize it, and you have to think about it, and you have to be excited about it, and you have to keep talking about it. And get to the point of being okay that you're actually not going to be there because you're living a legacy.
I think about the fact that I am not trying to get by, I am trying to get free.
She said, you guys call this deeper learning, but for me it's soul work. And it's really about getting kids in touch with the confidence in their soul is what this is really about.
And I want you to say, they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds.
I am here. We are here. And for now, that is enough.